Beneath the Ice, a Chronicle of Terror. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Evelyn Wright, a brilliant but weary astrophysicist, shivered in the cramped quarters of Erebus Station One. The sterile glow of the fluorescent lights couldn't chase away the loneliness she felt for the bustling world of academia and the thrill of scientific discovery. Here, she was stuck with a groundbreaking but secretive project, Project Chronos, a giant machine designed to mess with time itself, funded by a shadowy group with unclear motives. Evelyn wasn't completely alone. There was Michael Harris, the stoic engineer burdened with keeping the station from falling apart, and the enigmatic Dr. Anna Petrova, whose past research bordered on the spooky. The constant hum of the machine and the knowledge of being miles from any help gnawed at their sanity. One terrifying night, the hum vanished, replaced by an unnerving silence. Panic clawed at Evelyn's throat as she rushed to the control room, finding Michael and Anna staring at the malfunctioning machine with dread. The readings were gibberish, a code from a nightmare. Then, a blood-curdling, inhuman shriek echoed through the tunnels, plunging them into darkness. A cold, unnatural wind whispered secrets that made their minds race. Driven by terror, they fled into the labyrinthine corridors, the unearthly shrieks getting closer. Michael, his composure shattered, confessed a horrifying truth. Project Chronos hadn't just messed with time. It had ripped a hole in reality itself, unleashing something monstrous. They stumbled upon a hidden hatch etched with creepy symbols, glowing with an unholy light. In the center, a swirling vortex pulsed, a gateway to a place beyond comprehension. A shadowy figure emerged, tall and skeletal, defying the laws of physics as it shifted and pulsed in the dim light. Its voice, a chorus of whispers from everywhere and nowhere, spoke of a realm beyond time, of forgotten gods imprisoned by reality itself. The scientists, it declared with chilling laughter, had unwittingly released them. Evelyn recoiled, the entity's words slithering into her mind like venomous snakes. A horrifying vision flashed before her eyes. A vast, starless void filled with writhing tentacles and maddening whispers. Panic fueled a desperate clarity. The thrill of scientific discovery seemed trivial compared to this existential horror. "There has to be another way," she screamed, terror and defiance raw in her voice. Michael, eyes wild with fear, shook his head. "The machine's gone haywire. The hole is growing." Anna, ever the calm one in the storm, stepped forward. "There might be a way," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "But it's a gamble." She led them deeper into the maze-like corridors, past emergency generators and forgotten storage rooms. Finally, they reached a sealed metal door marked ominously with the word containment. Anna punched in a complex code, and the door hissed open, revealing a cramped chamber filled with blinking consoles and a web of wires. In the center, a device resembling a giant lightning rod crackled with ominous energy. "This is Project Doomsday," Anna explained, her voice tight. "A last resort failsafe designed to overload the time machine if all else fails." "But wouldn't that overload the entire station?" Michael sputtered. "It would," Anna admitted, a grim smile twisting her lips. "But it might also seal the hole." The weight of the decision pressed down on them. Overloading the time machine could mean a fiery death from within, but the alternative, the entity's horrific promise, was even more unthinkable. Evelyn looked at her now fearful companions, the only anchors she had in this desolate world. The thought of being alone in the darkness, surrounded by the entity's whispers, filled her with a bone-chilling dread. With trembling hands, Anna began calibrating the console. Every dial turned, every switch flipped, hammered a beat against the silence. The entity's shrieks grew louder, echoing through the tunnels, a symphony of maddening whispers. Just as Anna started the failsafe, a tentacle of inky blackness slammed through the open hatch. It writhed like a monstrous serpent, its surface pulsing with an unnatural light. Michael, driven by raw fear, let out a guttural scream and lunged for it, grabbing it with his bare hands. The entity shrieked in fury, the sound a physical blow that sent them all staggering back. Michael, his face contorted in pain, roared a challenge. but the flesh on his hands sizzled and blackened as the tentacle's touch seemed to drain the life force from him. "Go!" he rasped, his voice choked with agony. "Activate it." Tears welled up in Evelyn's eyes. Michael's sacrifice had bought them precious seconds. With a final, resolute nod to Anna, she slammed her hand down on the activation button. The station lurched violently, the lights flickering wildly. A deafening hum resonated through the chamber, building in intensity until it became an unbearable roar. Outside, the vortex pulsed erratically, tendrils of darkness straining against the growing field of energy. Then, with a blinding flash of light and an earth-shattering boom, the failsafe overloaded. The chamber dissolved into a whirlwind of sparks and superheated metal. Evelyn screamed, her body flung through the air. When the world stopped spinning, she found herself sprawled on the floor of the control room, the other two scientists missing. The air was thick with the smell of burnt metal and ozone. Groaning, she sat up, taking stock of her injuries. Luckily, she seemed to be relatively unscathed. A deep silence hung heavy in the air. Had it worked? Had they sealed the breach? She stumbled to the console and looked at the screen. It was blank, dead. The readings, the ominous red lights, all gone. Cautiously, she ventured towards the maintenance hatch, her heart hammering against her ribs. The corridor beyond was shrouded in an unnatural darkness. With a trembling breath, she reached out and flicked on her headlamp. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a horrifying sight. The maintenance hatch hung limply open. The swirling vortex was gone, replaced by a smooth, metallic surface. There was no sign of Anna or Michael, only a single scorched handprint etched into the metal. A wave of nausea washed over Evelyn. Had they survived? Had they trapped themselves in another dimension? A sterile metallic prison in place of the horrifying entity's realm? Or worse, had the entity outsmarted them, used their desperation to escape into their own world? Driven by a morbid curiosity and a gnawing fear, Evelyn inched closer. The metallic surface was cold and smooth, unlike anything she'd ever encountered. As she ran her hand across it, a series of intricate symbols pulsed to life, glowing with an otherworldly blue light. A wave of dizziness washed over her, images flashing in her mind, swirling galaxies, monstrous creatures locked in eternal combat, and a vast, empty void. Then, a chilling whisper reverberated through her skull, a voice tinged with amusement. "You have sealed the gate, young one," it rasped. "But the key remains." Evelyn stumbled back, her blood turning to ice. The entity hadn't been trapped. It had used their desperation to escape, leaving behind a cryptic message and a cursed key etched into the metal surface. Panic clawed at her throat. They hadn't won. They'd simply reset the game. Days bled into weeks. The rescue team, alerted by the sudden energy spike and subsequent silence, finally reached Erebus One. They found Evelyn, a shell of her former self, babbling incoherently about an entity and a key. The station's readings were erratic, the containment chamber a graveyard of twisted metal. Evelyn was whisked away, her story dismissed as the ramblings of a traumatized scientist. Yet, late at night, she would wake from nightmares, the entity's voice echoing in her mind. She was free, yes, but the key, a reminder of their failed victory, weighed heavily on her conscience. It was a constant, chilling reminder of the horror they'd unleashed and the unknown threat that now lurked beyond the veil of reality.